Assalamu alaikum, my name's Qasim, I'm 22 and inshallah I will be a halal billionaire by the time I turn 30. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my entire plan of how I'm going to start from scratch and build halal businesses that will allow me to make over $1 billion. And the best part is, any Muslim, regardless of their age, their experience or how much money they have, can follow this exact plan and become a billionaire as well, inshallah. So there is 4 phases in this plan to become a billionaire that anyone can copy. So the first phase is where we're going to be focusing on building a cash flow business, which is of course just means a business where we're focusing on how much money it's making us every single month in pure profit, and also helps us develop the skills and gain the experience that we need to then move on to phase 2, which is where we dominate a certain industry. This is where we build a company or maybe multiple companies that establishes a strong presence in an industry and help us pretty much turn into a market leader in that industry. Then from there, we can move on to phase 3, which is becoming an investor. So this is where we transition into investing to companies in that industry. And of course, the main goal would be to be able to invest in the company and then sell that in the following years for a big profit. Then from there, we move on to phase 4, which is where we build a unicorn company. This is of course building a company that will reach the valuation of and be sold for over $1 billion. Now, of course, you're hearing me talk about industries, but you might be thinking, I have no idea what industry to get started in, so what do I do? And that's the exact position that I was in too. So let me show you the exact industries that I will be entering, and these are the ones I also recommend anyone who's a beginner also enters as well. So the first one is e-commerce. This is of course the concept of just selling products online, usually through a brand that you build. Then we have e-learning or online education. This is of course just education, teaching, sharing knowledge, information through technology. Then we have blockchain and Web3, which is pretty much just in short the evolution of the internet and also finance. And then we have technology and AI, which is of course just building a software, a tool, a company that utilizes artificial intelligence. Now I'm going to explain why these industries are so important and why these ones are the best ones for anyone to enter, and also why I'm personally entering them, because you may feel the exact same way when I explain it. So let's actually dive deep into the steps that I'm going to take. And again, these steps that I'm about to show you right now are the same steps anyone can take, especially you, regardless of what position you may be in, even if you're completely broke, even if you have zero understanding of business, even if you're 15 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, does not matter. These steps are the exact ones that you can follow. So step 1 for me, like I said, is where we're going to be breaking into the e-commerce industry. So why do I want to be in this industry, and why would anybody choose this as an industry they would want to break into? The first reason is that e-commerce is the future of buying and selling, which is what we call commerce. So it will only keep growing and evolving, which means for us, there will never stop being new opportunities and new ways to make money in this industry. Second is, I find the idea of building brands, especially ones that genuinely benefit and change people's lives in the Ummah, really exciting. That's like a really exciting idea to me. And also the way that these companies are grown, of course, through marketing, through social media, building a community of customers, through content, all that kind of stuff, is one of the most enjoyable things you can do. It's a very creative thing to do in business. And the impact you're making is, of course, really tangible, because people are actually using your product and have it in their hands. So it's a really tangible thing to be able to be proud of. And also as well, last, it's an industry where I definitely feel, and I feel like everyone can feel confident that they can be successful in without needing some sort of tech background or a degree from a university, like software or programming. And you know, for me, this is my first industry to break into and build my first bit of wealth in, and it should be the same for everyone. Even if you have zero idea what e-commerce is, and this is the first time of you hearing it, it's very, very easy to get into compared to obviously building a software or a program or an app or something like that. So let me now walk you through the exact steps that I'm going to take that you can follow as well to break into e-commerce. So the first step of breaking into any industry, but especially e-commerce, is to build an online business that's called a growth partner agency. Now this, in simple terms, is a service-based online business that partners or works with e-commerce brands and helps them grow. Now to break that down a little bit further, because you probably have never heard about it before, I'll break it down word by word in terms of what the business model means and what it does. So growth in growth partner agency means you work with companies to help grow their revenue as your main focus. So what you do as a growth partner agency, your main thing is helping companies grow their revenue through the most in-demand method of growth or channel of growth in that industry. So for e-commerce, I'll explain what that may be in just a second. Partner, what that means is you partner with companies in one of the world's biggest industries, of course, e-commerce being one of them, on a long-term basis, and you get paid a monthly retainer or monthly payment Plus also on top of that, something that's called a revenue share. So you share in their revenue, you have a percentage of the revenue that they generate. So what this looks like in reality is you get paid anywhere from $5,000 to even $10,000 per month, plus also 5 to even 15% of what they make every single month as well. And then agency means you have a team fulfilling your service delivery, and you also have multiple offers that you can sell to companies when you talk to potential companies on a sales call. So for example, to give you the example of what I've done and what my growth partner agency does, I partner with e-commerce brands and I help them grow through 3 things. Obviously, it's overall through social media, but 3 specific elements. First is producing video ad content for their ads. Second is then running those videos as ads on Facebook and TikTok. And then third is building what's called their affiliate infrastructure, which just means a way and a channel for them to be able to find the right creators, influencers, have them come on and post on their own accounts as affiliates for the brand. So the brand makes money for free pretty much because of these creators and influencers posting for them. That is the 3 ways that is the way that I help e-commerce brands grow, which again is the way that I recommend anyone also help e-commerce brands grow as well, and what offer you provide and sell with your growth partner agency. So the first milestone that I'm going to reach, that anybody would want to reach within around 8 to 12 months of running a growth partner agency, which is very, very achievable, is first being partnered or working with 10 brands long term, and they're all paying you a minimum of $5,000, even up to $10,000 per month, plus 5 to 15% of revenue. And what that means in terms of how much money you'd actually be making after you start getting results for your clients, which is obviously the e-com brands, it would mean that you get $5,000, for example, plus an extra another $5,000, maybe even $10,000. So one client could be making you, of course, they're paying you that $5,000 as a base retainer, but then the revenue share on top of that, let's say you get 10% of $50,000 that you made them, then you get an extra bit of money as well. So you kind of start making $15,000 to $20,000 per client per month after you get results. So to break down this milestone for me, which is again I'd recommend for everyone to follow, the monthly profit would be anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. That's actually money coming into my bank account every single month. And also as well, what I gain from this milestone is I get the expertise and experience that I need to then build an e-com brand rapidly. Why do I get that? Because obviously to break into the e-commerce industry, the best way to do that is to start working with e-commerce brands, to start actually working with these companies and seeing how they operate, seeing how they grow. And a growth partner agency is the best way to do that. Why? Because you're genuinely being able to take control of probably the most important part of building an e-commerce brand, which is obviously growing it and marketing it. So being able to do that as a growth partner agency and build your experience and skills up that way by providing that service to e-com brands, then what that allows you to do is then have full confidence and all the knowledge you would want to then do it yourself for your own brand, which is obviously really exciting. And also as well, the third thing, which is very overlooked, is building a specialized and experienced team. Of course, the team that I've built through my growth partner agency, to the people that are actually doing the service for me and taking care of the day-to-day work for me, they then become my own team that can help me build and scale my own e-com brands really rapidly. So then from there, we move on to the second step of breaking into the e-commerce industry, which is where anybody, but especially myself, is going to be building and scaling my own e-commerce brands. Now for me, I have 2 main concepts on brands that I want to build myself. And again, this may, I may think about building another one too, but these are the ones that I definitely know that I will build. The first one being a brand that sells health supplements that genuinely benefit people's lives. Second one is a brand that sells performance-driven apparel or clothing. So then the milestone from here, when I build those brands within around 12 to 14 months, maybe just under 2 years, would be to build my brands to a 7 or 8 figure, which just means $1 million to even $10 million yearly revenue, and for these brands to start being respected as a market leader in the markets that we're in. So to break down that milestone a bit more, in terms of what it will look like for me, the first thing is I will have personally a yearly income in terms of what I'm taking home every single year from my growth partner agency plus my e-commerce brands of around 2 to 3 million. That will be kind of what I aim to have my yearly income at. Second is I have the experience then of now scaling my own brands, and I also have built a real name for myself in the industry. People are starting to think of me as one of the most innovative entrepreneurs in this industry. And also third, I also, as well as my team, have the track record and almost proof of scaling, of course, my own brands, but also maybe the 10 plus brands that I've partnered with at my growth partner agency, and obviously turning them into market leading brands. Obviously that gives us a lot of credibility in the industry. So then we move on to the next step, which is a really cool step, which is where we're going to be building a growth equity investment firm. Now you may have never heard of growth equity. But it's very much same. I'm sure you may have heard of private equity or venture capital. They're just two different types of investment. So to explain very shortly, venture capital is where you invest into ideas and entrepreneurs. So usually companies that haven't really been built yet. Growth equity is where you invest into companies that are they've been built, they're starting to grow, they have a lot of potential. And the whole idea of a growth equity firm is where you invest into them and then help them grow in the kind of stage of getting from like 1 to 10, if that makes sense. Then a private equity firm, it's kind of a company that, usually invest into companies that are already quite big, and then they take like a large ownership of it, and then, take that company from 10 to 20, for example, 10 to 100. So growth equity is really in that stage of a company that's, start to be successful. You invest into it, and also it's not just about the money, but it's also about what you could do for that company and how you can help them grow. So again, to summarize what that growth equity firm means, it's just a firm or a company that raises outside investment from outside investors, plus obviously my own money too, to take ownership in and rapidly scale other e-commerce brands with the goal of eventually selling them. So why am I starting a growth equity firm? What's the point in this step? So the first thing you have to realize, it's a lesson that I've learned from a very, very successful entrepreneur called Naval Ravikant. One of the first lessons I learned when I started my entrepreneurship journey, where it's a lesson where generational wealth, or making tens of millions of dollars, is only really built through having ownership in tens or maybe even hundreds of companies, rather than just having ownership in one company by itself for the rest of your life. And also second, what it means for me is it means I can accelerate my wealth massively by, instead of always focusing on how much money am I making every month or every year in terms of the income from these businesses, when you move into this kind of stage of business where you're building an investment firm, the real way these companies make money is not through the income, but instead through selling the company that they're invested into. So that's the whole idea of building an investment firm, is when you invest into a company, you may, for example, let's say the company is worth $1 million, you invest 200 grand, so there you have 20% of the company, and hypothetically. Then, for example, let's say that company then sells for $10 million. So you 10x your investment. So when that company sells for $10 million, you then get 10x what you put in. And obviously you walk away with a lot more money than you first entered it into. And obviously that is the idea of that, is for that to happen within 1 to 3 years of you making that investment. And also as well, the last thing, which is more of a kind of, just how to think about this, how it works in terms of the journey of being an entrepreneur, is a kind of level up from just online business, which is of course a growth partner agency is just an online business. You then move into building more of a real business that has a physical office, real investors, backers, and the potential to generate hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 5-10 years. So the milestone here is, of course, to have after, for example, 2 to 3 years of starting the growth equity firm, is to have a total of $100 to $200 million of assets under management. And all that means is just money that we manage. So what that pretty much means is that either outside investors plus myself, the whole fund has a total of $100 to $200 million, and that is the money that we're using to then invest into companies and obviously fund our own operation. And obviously as well, the projected profits from everything we're doing in terms of the investments we're making in the companies we've bought into, the profits that we're projected to have should be around $500 to $1 billion in the following 5-ish years. And the milestone here, again, to kind of make it more detailed for myself, is the yearly income from my growth equity firm. And a really important point here as well is to understand that the growth partner agency that you would start at the start of this step of breaking into the e-commerce industry, you take that agency, you build it up by having the clients, for example, 10 clients, you have that monthly revenue, $50,000 to $100,000 per month. You have the team, that's what makes up your agency. So then this growth equity firm doesn't just mean that you just close down that agency and then you just start this random company. What it means is you transition the agency, more of an online business, you then transition that kind of structure into this growth equity firm. So you're building a growth equity firm or an investment firm by first building an agency that does the same thing pretty much like you would be doing as an investment firm, but just without the money involved, just without investing. And then when you get to the point where you can invest, where you have some, a track record, you have some proof, you have some case studies, you have a team that can do all the work for you, you can then obviously invest in your own money, but also get outside investment from outside investors that will then invest with you, and then you can use their money to help grow these companies. And obviously then the goal, like I said, is to transition from just thinking about how much money am I making per month to then thinking about, okay, in a year's time, the sale of this company will make me 20 million, 10 million, 15 million, whatever the number will be. And the whole idea of that is to really build your wealth, not just try to keep making more money in the short term. And also as well, the second thing that I would want at this stage, at this milestone, is for my own net worth, which pretty much just means the value, like how much everything that I own can be sold for, to be around 150 to 250 million dollars from the worth of my own brands, the stake that I have in the brands that I've invested in, and obviously in the investment firm as well. All of that will total to me being worth somewhere around that much. And then the third thing as well is that I would have dominated the e-commerce industry at this point. This is like after like multiple years, 4 or 5 years, I would have, have stakes in the fastest growing and most well-known brands in the world at this point. So then where would I be after all this is done? Where would anybody be after all this is done? So I could very easily become a billionaire just from this phase alone. It most definitely can happen because e-commerce is such a big industry where you can become a billionaire if you do it right. But the main goals for me are not to become a billionaire in this industry. The main goals is first to be worth at least $150 million to $250 million at a minimum. And also as well, to then have this investment firm, this growth equity firm, to be my main business at this point. And obviously as well, one thing that I want to do, that I recommend all Muslims really want to do as well, is if they want to build an investment firm, really allow it to be kind of a vehicle for Muslim investors to be able to invest into, and then you're able to kind of take halal money, Muslim money, and use that to then obviously invest into companies, grow these companies, and obviously then multiply the wealth of Muslims. So to kind of explain that, when you, for example, let's say at this point of my journey, in 3-4 years time, when you ask me what is my main business, I will say my main business is my growth equity firm, my investment firm. And what I want to do is, like I said, have all of my outside capital, so money that isn't from me, come and be raised from Muslim investors. So people like, for example, the Arabs from Saudi, UAE, Qatar, all the Arab countries are Muslim countries. And the idea long term, this is a really cool idea that I think all of you should really think about, is to become a plug, a plug meaning like a connector between Arab or Muslim money with Western business, to be done in a halal way. That's a really cool thing that I want to be doing with this investment firm. And also as well, the last thing as well is to be one of the most well-known and respected entrepreneurs in the e-commerce industry that, like I said, has ownership in some of the fastest growing brands in the world. Now let me move on to phase 2. And again, one thing I really want to stress here and make sure you understand is that these steps don't need to be done in order, in a way where like the whole step doesn't need to be done before moving on to the second step. And that's exactly obviously what's happening for me. Just so you have some context, if you've never seen me before, I've actually already done step 1, not the after milestone 2. I've not completed yet, but everything until milestone 2. I have completed. So yeah, that's for me. I'm already at this stage, so I can tell you that you don't need to kind of complete one industry before moving on to the next. You can definitely do it that way, but I'm showing you exactly that I'm doing it, so you can kind of replicate it if you want to as well. Because then step 2 for me is breaking into the e-learning or online education industry. So why do I want to be in this industry? What does it mean for me? The main reason is because building a company where I can give people, the average person, everything they need in terms of the information, a roadmap, personal guidance, a community of people as well. Giving people all this stuff is exactly what I need to fulfill my mission and what I've come to know is my purpose given to me by Allah. And one of the parts of that mission is creating the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs in the world that are truly fulfilling their purpose. And of course, to be able to do that, helping people get out of the mindset of worrying about money, having financial freedom, having a business that's making the money, that really allows you to open up your mind to be able to then come to know what your purpose is and come to know what your mission is, and actually have the ability and the resources to take action on that. And also as well, like I said, it's because it's my mission and purpose to give back. It's always has been since I started out when I was 17, and I'm 22 now. And I genuinely feel the most fulfillment I've ever felt in terms of what I'm doing day to day, business wise, when I help people realize and fulfill their true purpose. It's almost like I feel like Allah has given me this kind of mission, this purpose to help other people unlock their purpose and realize their purpose and fulfill their purpose, and also grow and become the best versions of themselves. Like doing that and helping people do that through the lessons that I've learned through my journey of being an entrepreneur since I was 17. That my whole goal in life really is to be able to just be the best example that I can be, go through all the trial and error, the experiences, the journey of being an entrepreneur, of building businesses, success and failure in all aspects of life, and then being able to help people not make any of those mistakes and really give them all the resources they need to be able to fast forward their lives and their progress and their journey of being an entrepreneur, being a Muslim, and turn them into the best versions of themselves. And also as well, what I feel like I've kind of known for the last 5 years since I started out is every other current online education company in that kind of online business, online money kind of space, is teaching people how to that is of course teaching people how to build a business and change their life, are in my opinion very low quality. And most of the time they're just scamming people. That's why, you know, courses and programs and mentorships and all these things, they have such a bad reputation, because there's so many people that are just coming into it and just doing it just to take. They don't want to give back. They just want to take and make money. And I feel like I am prepared, and I'm, you know, in the position to be able to change that and really raise the bar of what people can expect when they pay for information online. So then, of course, the plan to break into the online education industry, the main thing here is where I'm going to be building and growing my own personal brand. And my personal brand just means my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Twitter, for example. And the way that I'm going to be doing this is by breaking down how I've built my businesses and how I've changed my own life, and also as well documenting the journey of me obviously continuing that progress and that journey of building my own businesses. And this is, for example, why you see me make this video today. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this purely just to be able to show you and inspire you. This, in a sense, is documenting my journey. I'm documenting my journey here by telling you my plan. And the reason I'm doing it, not just so you can know my plan, but so you can genuinely feel inspired by it and then actually follow this plan yourself, you know? So why am I building my personal brand? It goes into what I just said before, but in business and in life, in this era of kind of the world, it genuinely is one of the most valuable long-term assets to have as an entrepreneur, that genuinely benefits every aspect of your life, but especially both business as well as socially. And it makes doing business a lot easier when you own your own audience. So people have trust with you. You don't have to pay Facebook, for example, for ads. You don't have to pay, Instagram for ads. You have your own audience, and that is a group of people around the world that will want to buy what you sell if it's obviously high quality. And also as well, you have a lot of trust built up over a long time. For example, if I came in to do a business deal worth millions of dollars where nobody could have any idea what I've done in my life, what accomplishments I've made, how I speak, what I talk about, what are my perspectives, by having this personal brand, you're able to see me from the start of my journey and have that trust and credibility built up throughout my whole life, pretty much. And you can see exactly who I was at 17, exactly who I am now, and then know if you want to do business with me or buy whatever I sell. And also as well, it's, like I said, the best and easiest way for me to fulfill my purpose and my mission, like genuinely being able to give back to the world. There's no better way than doing it for free, which is by making videos and making content online, by giving the value, knowledge and inspiration for completely free. And it genuinely, inshallah, can reach hundreds of millions of people in the future and change their lives, which can then create everlasting change in the world without people having to pay anything whatsoever or buy a product. And also as well, in this education company, I don't want to have a salesy dynamic with the potential customers that would want to buy or learn from me, from my education company. So I want them to have already a life-changing experience and value from my content online. And then if they want to learn and dive deeper and have my own personal help, they can then become a customer very effortlessly without being sold on or being manipulated at all. Which is the way that a lot of education companies, make money in today's day and age. So then the first milestone of this step that I want to reach within around 12 months is to have my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is the main thing that I want to focus on in this sense, in the personal brand sense, is obviously why you're watching this video, is to have the channel at, inshallah, around 100,000 to 250,000 subscribers, with the target of getting to 5 to 10 million subscribers in the following 4 to 5 years. So the milestone to break this down a little bit more is, like I said, have the channel at around 100k subscribers, if not up to 250k, with the goal of hitting 5 to 10 million in the following 4 to 5 years. Also to have impacted, inspired and changed thousands of lives through the advice and knowledge that I've shared. And also number 3 is to be one of the most well-known and respected entrepreneurs in the world. Now, I'm not doing this, I'm going to go dive into the why deeper later on in the video, but I'm not doing this because I want to be the most well-known for my own sake, for my own pride's sake or for my ego. It's more so that I then have the almost influence to then be able to really make change in the world because of the trust that I built up over a long time and the credibility that I have through my personal brand. So then from there, the goal is to then build and scale my education company to serve and change the lives of around 3,000 people. And also one really important thing here that I'm going to be doing is 10% of all the money that's generated from this education company is going to go into charitable projects that the community of customers that I have within in the education company are going to choose alongside me. So to break down what the education company is going to be, it's called unlockyourpotential.io. Like I said, I'm already at this point of my journey, so I can tell you exactly how it actually looks like in real life. So how this looks like right now, what you're seeing right now is part of what I'm doing here with this education company. So the first element of the education company is the free videos and resources that I post on my YouTube channel and also the rest of my platforms to help Muslims and men all over the world to level up their life and start their own halal business. Then number 2 is a group mentorship program that's called the Growth Partner Agency Launchpad that gives beginners everything they need to get started and reach, for example, around $10,000 per month with their own growth partner agency. And number 3 is a one-to-one consulting program, which is obviously more of a relationship with me and a time from me, one-on-one, called the Growth Partner Agency Accelerator. That helps growth partner agencies owners scale to over $50,000 per month and also then start to build generational wealth and really progress down the path of being an entrepreneur and become a millionaire, inshallah, as well. Then the goal here within 12 to 14 months is to reach the next milestone, the last milestone of this industry, which is where my education company has transformed the lives of over 3,000 entrepreneurs. So what will happen here in more detail in this milestone is the first thing is around $1 million has been donated to charitable projects all over the world from, like I said, the 10% of profits that this company will generate. Number 2 will be that I've created and really forged 3,000 entrepreneurs, Muslim entrepreneurs all around the world that are on the path of fulfilling their true purpose in life. And also number 3 is I really I should have put an end to all the scamming and low quality courses and programs by really raising the standard of the information that is available to people that want to become entrepreneurs and obviously current entrepreneurs as well. So where will I be after all this is done? I will have massively progressed down the path of fulfilling my own purpose by bringing thousands of people closer to their true purpose in life, as well as recruiting the next generation of leaders in the world that will continue to impact the world alongside me. Now that is the true mission behind what I'm doing here. It's a really important point to really internalize, one, to be able to understand this plan, but also as well to understand maybe if you want to do this later on in your journey. Because the whole idea here is not for me to make money with this, with my education company. The idea really here is to truly progress down my path and my purpose of, really giving back to the world and creating the next generation of leaders and Muslim entrepreneurs that can really help guide the world towards Allah through business and through advice and through everything that they'll be doing, even when I'm dead. So that's the whole idea of why I'm building this business. It's not, obviously the money is a byproduct, the profits are a byproduct, but really what's the main goal here for me and why I'm building this company is because it truly is my passion. It's like what Allah's put me in this world to do at this stage of my life anyway, from what I can currently understand of what Allah wants me to do. So that is kind of the whole goal of this stage, of this step of the process of the journey of becoming a billionaire. It's not just to make more money. The education company has really quite a small impact, very minimal impact to me becoming a billionaire. But what it does have a massive impact in is me really fulfilling my purpose and creating my mission into reality and making the world a better place in my own way because of the blessing that I've been given, which is of course for me to be the fact that I've been able to start my journey of being an entrepreneur so young. I've had so much experience of building businesses and having failures and successes in life and all aspects of life. So I truly feel like Allah has given me the blessing so I can then pass it down to people so they can not make the same mistakes that I made and have a true kind of like roadmap and thing to follow that can get them to where they want to be in life so that they can fulfill their purpose. So then we move on to step 3 here, which is where we then break into the blockchain and Web3 industry. Now to kind of describe why I want to be in this industry and why I recommend other people would want to be in this industry too. So blockchain and Web3, you may not have heard of that before really, but I'll kind of summarize it in short. It really is the future of the internet as we perceive it. So what we currently perceive as the internet right now is what's called Web 2. So Web 2 is just pretty much Google and all the stuff that we do online on our laptops or phones. That is Web 2 right now. But Web 3 is the next evolution of that. So meaning it's the industry where you can genuinely have the opportunity to build a company that can grow into the size of companies like Amazon or Facebook or Uber, the same way that they did with Web 2. So to kind of make sure you understand what that means, it's companies like that, Amazon, Facebook, all these companies, they all started when Web 2 was becoming becoming what the internet is, what we know as now. And the same kind of shift or transition will happen with Web 3. So then the opportunity will come with this new technology, AI being included into that as well, with this new technology where, multi-billion dollar startups and companies can be built within 3 to 5 years, 10 years, because you're pretty much building a company in the kind of, going along with the evolution of the world, which of course the internet is a massive part of the world. Which is obviously, of course, the same thing that Amazon and Facebook and Google and all these companies are like the biggest companies in the world. They did that when Web 2, when that transition was happening back in like the 2000s. So the second reason is that it will be the most exciting and most innovative, or one of the most innovative industries to build something in where you can genuinely build something completely unique that isn't copying another company. And number three is it will be the evolution of also software companies. So what we currently perceive as software companies, stuff that, like I said again, Amazon, Facebook, Uber, Apple, all these companies. These kind of companies are the ones right now in the world that get an insanely massive multiple on their valuation. So pretty much what that means is a SaaS company or software company, SaaS just meaning software as a service, just a different term given to these kind of companies. These kind of companies, they're valued at 10 to 20x, 10 to 20 times what they make per year. So what that means is, for example, let's say you have a company, a software company that is making $1 million per year. You can sell that company for 10 or maybe even 20x that, depending on the type of company and what industry it's in. You can sell it for that much more, which means, and that's just the way that it is. I don't know why that is the way that it is, but that's just the way that it is in software. So that's why you see a lot of software companies, a lot of big entrepreneurs, billionaires right now. The reason they became billionaires, like Elon Musk and stuff, is because they sold their stake in one of the first software companies they built. So for example, PayPal, like Elon Musk and all of the companies that these guys have built. That's why they made so much money, because they were able to sell their company at 10 to 20x what they were actually making year per year. So yeah, you can make a lot of money selling one of these companies within around 2 to 4 years of starting it. So the plan that I have to break into it is very, very similar to e-commerce. It's a very, very similar process. Like I said, building a growth planner agency is the first step to breaking into any industry. It's by far, if you want to build a massive company in a massive industry, like for example, software or e-commerce or info products, online education or blockchain or Web3, the best way to do that is of course to give yourself all the expertise and also as well give yourself all the money you need to then go ahead and build a company that can truly be successful and turn into like a multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar company in the future. So I'm going to be doing that again with the blockchain and Web3 industry. And again, milestone one would be just to be partnered with 10, maybe 15 projects. Again, the main goal of that is for me to, of course, at this point, I'll probably already be very, very rich. So the main goal here is just to build the experience and the case studies and also build a team that can build and scale a blockchain Web3 project very quickly. And then the next stage, next step for me here is then to build my own startup or maybe even partner in one. With someone that's a bit more technical than I am, because I'm a very technical guy. I'm not much of a software kind of guy. I'm much more of a business kind of like the fun parts of business kind of guy. And again, what this is going to be, I have no idea, but it could be a platform app tool for either businesses or the average person, which in other ways is known as consumers, to utilize Web3 and blockchain, or the technology of Web3 and blockchain. So what is this step? This is again where I move into kind of another phase of business, which is moving into the tech startup world. And I build a startup that I raise outside investment for, not just my own money, that can then go on to become a unicorn company in the future that I exit meaning just sell the company within around 3 to 5 years. Also here, this is where I'll spot an opportunity to solve a big problem, to be at the forefront of bringing Web3 and blockchain, this new technology, to the mainstream market, the same way that Amazon brought e-commerce to the mainstream market when it started out, and why it's a billion-dollar company, like multi-billion-dollar company now. And this, like I said, can be my ticket to making tens of billions of dollars, if that's the way that it works out. And exactly what this company will be truly based on when the industry is a bit more matured, meaning it's a bit more mainstream, and also what problems I spot that can be solved with a platform, a tool, a software, either for businesses or consumers. And then the next milestone from here is of course to make that startup that I've built and founded a success, and also have raised massive investment for them, so probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of investment. Again, this is a very simple milestone here, just to be able to get that startup to be a success, both by raising investment and also as well growing the company. And then the second, obviously, main goal is to be on track to have that company reach a valuation of maybe $5 to even $10 billion. The numbers can change. I have no idea what it will be, but that will be the goal. And look to sell that company within 3 to 5 years. But like I said, if it does end up being the next Amazon and Web3 and blockchain, then I'll probably not sell it and keep it for the following, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whenever I feel like it's the right time to sell. But that's kind of the way that every this kind of step is the way that most billionaires that you see right now, the Mark Cuban and Elon Musk and all these kind of guys that you may have heard about, the reason they became billionaires and started to become billionaires is because they built their first startup and sold that startup for, usually hundreds of millions. And then that gave them the money and the ability and everything they needed to then go on to build, the companies that you see now, which like, with Elon Musk, it's like Tesla, SpaceX, all these kind of companies. They only built those companies because they had the money from the first company that they sold. So for Elon Musk, it was PayPal back in the day. So then from here, the next step is to do the same thing I did with e-commerce and then begin investing and taking ownership in other blockchain Web3 companies or ideas with my growth equity firm. And also as well, what I'll do here is obviously, like I said, I broke down what venture capital, growth equity and private equity mean. So what I'll be doing here is also transitioning the growth equity firm into having a combination of both growth equity investments, which just means investing into companies that are more kind of like already built, already successful, and also as well start investing into people that are, in companies that are more ideas. So they're more like, for example, a company that hasn't really been built yet, but the idea is there, and they kind of, for example, there's a couple of entrepreneurs that have built this company, more the kind of product to the idea, and then you invest in them to kind of give them the start. So you kind of invest into two, for example, 1 or 2 guys that have a really good idea, have really good skills, and you give them the money to be able to actually turn this company into a reality. And of course, before that, you get a massive stake in their company. And that is why, massive companies in the world today, like Uber, Facebook, Amazon, they started like that. So they started out with, like, obviously the guys had no money. Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Facebook, he started out in university. So he had to get these kind of venture capital investors on board to then invest into that company, and then they take a massive stake in the company because they gave him the money to actually get it started. That's the idea. And then of course the milestone here after 3-4 years is to have a total of $3 to $5 billion of assets under management, which again means that money that we manage within the investment firm, and also with the projected profits of all the companies we invest into, or in the next 5-10 years, be $10 to $20 billion. And again, that money isn't all for me. In an investment firm, you do have a lot of moving parts. You obviously pay back the investors, you have the partners, you have the team, all that kind of stuff. So that's not pure income, but it will be a large part of that will be my net worth. So to kind of detail this milestone a bit more, my personal yearly income should be around $100 to $150 million per year from my growth equity firm or investment firm. Second would be my net worth to be anywhere around $5 billion to $10 billion from the worth of the companies that I own, and also the worth of the companies that I've invested into as well. And number 3 is I've massively innovated the blockchain and Web3 industry and built an internationally known startup or tech company. Then from there, where will I be after all this is done? Like I said, after this phase, inshallah, I will be a multi-billionaire. My investment firm, inshallah, will also be one of the leaders in the e-commerce and blockchain and Web3 industries. And also as well, I'll be on track to grow my wealth because of the companies that I've built and also invested into. I will truly be on the path of, building my wealth into the tens of billions throughout my 30s and 40s and 50s as I get older. And then we move on to step 4. Now, like I said, in terms of, the exact sequence that I do this in will really depend on where I'm at in life and what's happening in my life and where I spot the opportunities. So step 3 and 4 are kind of interchangeable in terms of which ones happens first. But, all these steps will have to happen for me to become a billionaire in my vision. So the way I'm going to be doing this again is similar to blockchain, but of course I'd be so rich at this point where I don't really need to start an agency. It'd just make more sense to just build a company and pay people with the expertise that I need. So I'll then build my own tech or AI startup. Again, what this will most likely be some sort of software or tool, but it could be some sort of physical hardware or product as well. Then the idea here is to get the startup to a really good point, build the startup, get backing investment, and to be on track to become a unicorn company. And what that means is the company that's valued at over $1 billion. So usually they would have to make around $100 million per year for that to be the case. And also then, what I would do then is branch out the investment firm to start investing into AI and tech companies as well. So the 3 industries that I will be investing into with my investment firm will be first e-commerce, then it will be blockchain and Web3, and the third will then be kind of like software, AI, and tech. That's the main goal that I have to get the investment firm to a point, which is of course this last milestone, which is to grow the investment firm to around 10 to 15 billion dollars, maybe even more, of assets under management. So that means that at that point, this is like, in 6 years time, have my investment firm managing around 10 to 15 billion dollars in total. And then, so yeah, to break this milestone down a bit more, the investment firm should be, inshallah, one of the leading investment firms in the world, honestly, but especially in these industries. And second is their foundations are set to reach a net worth of 25 to even 50 billion dollars in the next 2 or 3 decades, when I start getting a bit older, like Elon Musk kind of age, inshallah. So then step 5, which is a really important step that I, is one of them, also alongside my education company, truly a real part of my purpose and mission in the world. And that is to build my own foundation and charity, which is something I'm actually starting very soon. So I don't have to, again, I'm not going to be waiting for a long time to start this. I'm actually going to be starting it soon, and really starting with a few small projects. And the whole idea of what I want to build here is a foundation or a charity that really innovates the way that the average person views and gives to charity, especially to the less fortunate children all around the world, especially in Muslim countries and in the Ummah across all the Muslim third world countries. And this, like I said, I'm going to be starting as soon as possible, which is actually very, very soon, where I'm at in life. And also what we'll be doing here is, one of the main things is fund and build self-sustaining communities in third world countries, especially Muslim countries, build mosques, schools, give opportunity to the kids, support, aid in any current crisis, and this foundation and charity will eventually end up being the main focus for me as time gets on and the older that I get. And yeah, that will be my legacy. My legacy will truly be my foundation and charity, and all of the companies will just be so that I can then just further my charity even more, which should be the goal of every single Muslim, which is why I put this in here to show you that this should be like a real main company that you'd want to build in the future. So of course the question comes, why do I want to become a billionaire? Why does billionaire matter? Why don't I just want to settle with 10 million, 20 million, 30 million and then just go off the grid and like, kind of like live my life and just be free? And the real true reason that is not because I want to become a billionaire, because I care about the money. Like truly being a billionaire or being someone that's worth a couple $100 million, there's not much difference in the lifestyle. Yes, you can maybe buy bigger things, have private jets, whatever, but that obviously doesn't really make you happy. It doesn't make you more fulfilled. But what does make me fulfilled and makes anyone fulfilled is truly fulfilling their purpose that Allah's given them in this world, their divine assignment, as what's called as well. And for me, my mission and purpose, from what I currently perceive it as, what I currently have almost like been told by Allah throughout my journey, is been to create what's called a paradigm shift, which just means a fundamental change in belief in the way that the world, where everyone realizes and fulfills their true purpose and the plan written for them by Allah, and how that purpose is always for them to serve humanity. Of course, they're serving God by serving humanity, who is obviously Allah's creation, in the way that they've been chosen to. And obviously, they come to that realization throughout their journey, of truly improving themselves and making themselves the best versions of themselves. And how I'm going to be doing that is first by being the best example that I can be of someone that has truly realized their purpose and the plan God wrote for them, and actually fulfilled his own purpose, and has almost shown that how I've done that. Which is obviously why I'm making this video right now, for you to be able to know from the start of my journey where I'm at right now, to then, in 50 years you can come back and watch all the videos that I'm going to make in terms of how that's going to happen, how it's going to be come into reality, from the plan to then making it happen, each step of the plan, and then obviously at the end you will to see where I'm at after having all this done. And also as well, like I said, I'm going to be documenting the journey from the start with complete transparency. A really important thing is I want to be completely transparent. Nothing I want to hide, all the numbers, the money that I make, how I'm making that money, what I'm doing. This is why I'm giving this plan away. I'm just telling you this plan in so much detail. It's not because I'm going to make money from this, is because I genuinely, want to be completely transparent, and for you to, like I said, look back in 50 years time, look back to this video and see, wow, okay, he really did show us everything that he's doing with complete transparency. So then why can't I do it myself? That's the whole idea of the feeling that I want to create inside of you is, this guy's just showed me exactly how I can become a billionaire. So what's stopping me? Why don't I do it? That's exactly what wants to happen after you watch this video. And like I said, to be the first ever billionaire that you can go and watch back to know exactly how he did everything from the beginning. For example, let's say, Elon Musk isn't the best example, but let's say Elon Musk, if he was a Muslim, a good man, then, being able to look at, a multi-billionaire, one of the richest men in the world, being able to look back and know exactly how he did everything from the age of 17, 18 when he got started, that would be invaluable. to a young Muslim man. So that's exactly what I want to create and what I'm trying to create with what I'm doing here. And also, like I said, the mission, it's one of the missions that coincided with my purpose, is to create a new generation of leaders and entrepreneurs which are fulfilling their purpose, that will further this fundamental changing belief and fundamental kind of like bringing the world back to Allah and Allah's path, for generations to come, past when I'm gone from this world. So I hope you really enjoyed me walking through the plan, and I hope you truly understand and have that feeling now that this guy just walked me through the entire plan that he's going to be following to become a billionaire. So why don't I just follow it? What's stopping me? So one of the most important things that I can tell you is to always ensure that you listen to Allah. Almost watching this video, in a sense, is Allah has guided you here for a reason. This video is one of millions of videos posted today or this month or this year, and Allah has chosen you to watch this video. So there's a reason for that, and Allah is truly using this video, using me as a vessel to ignite the spark in ignite the fire in your soul, to then truly realize that, okay, maybe the conventional life path that the average person goes down, university, 9-to-5 life, career, trying to build up their career, making kind of a minimum wage, that maybe isn't what's meant for you. The same way that I realized that back when I was 17. And now you genuinely know this is a plan you can follow. The first step is to build your own growth planner agency. So if you actually want to know what to do, what you actually want to get started, then what I will do is the first link in the description of this video on YouTube will be a link to the free course that I've posted on YouTube, my own YouTube channel. And that free course, I walk through the entire process, A to Z, of how to build and then grow your own growth planner agency and get to kind of the milestone 1 and 2, like I said, in the first step of breaking into the e-commerce industry. And again, you can do this for any industry, but I've just chosen e-commerce. But the building a growth planner agency is truly the best way to get started and break into any industry, and then start to then develop the skills you need to then make millions of dollars in the industries you want to be in. So inshallah, like I said, always think about your life as if your life is a boat sailing through the ocean. Allah is the commander and the captain, and you are just one of the salesmen who's on the boat. And all you have to do is just keep rowing. And the way you row is by taking action. So don't waste time. If Allah's giving you those dreams, those thoughts, those ideas, then listen to Allah. Don't just listen to Allah's creation, which is obviously just people. Listen to Allah and go ahead, take action and make those dreams a reality, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, and I will see you on that free course, which will come up on screen right now. Assalamu alaikum.